Today I review Marvel's Captain America Civil War. Hello and welcome to the show with the views. I'm Auram, and normally on this show we review 3 comics every week, but sometimes we dive into TV and movies, especially when a behemoth of a movie like this comes out, so let's get started. Okay, so the way that I normally like to structure these reviews is I start with talking about the good, the stuff that I liked about the movie, then move on to the bad, the stuff, the nitpicks, the things that I didn't like about the movie, and then I get into spoilers. So, I will warn, I will put many warnings before I start talking about spoilers, before I actually start talking about spoilers, so don't worry about that. So stick around before I get to that, and there'll be an annotation or something that you can skip to the end, or just leave the video. So the good, what did I like about this movie? Pretty much everything, as to be expected. It's a Marvel Studios movie, and it's been hyped up forever, but that's beside the point. The point is, this movie was phenomenal overall. Pretty much, I liked everything about it. Everything the thing that I've kind of been saying is it's Marvel's best attempt at characterization in a film so far. Everyone, like, pretty much felt like they were pulled right from the comic. Like, we had the best Hawkeye in this movie. I don't know if we had the best Ant-Man. I mean, he didn't say much, but his characterization was perfect. We had the best Spider-Man in this movie by far. So Tom Holland as Spider-Man is kind of perfect, and I was honestly pretty excited for him ever since he released this picture, I guess I'll find it, of his hair looking exactly like Ultimate Peter Parker's hair, and they didn't actually end up going with that. I assume they just wanted him to cut it like that, or he just did that so he could get people excited, but he looked like a perfect Peter Parker. And besides that, it kind of makes me sad also, because Tom Holland has made me realize how shitty and old, not like super old, but like how wrong the last 2 Spider-Mans that we got were. But yeah, Spider-Man was great, and this movie was, talking about like character stuff, this movie was extremely character driven. It was not really like plot driven at all. It was just characters, and I mean, it's Civil War, it kind of has to be character driven. It was just character ideals fighting against each other, and there's just this clashing of ideas, and it's great. It's a good time. As far as the overall like tone of the movie goes, this is the movie that all of you people that were saying that Marvel movies are too funny, this is what you're waiting for. So normally the Marvel method as far as movies are concerned is lots of jokes with lots of like comic book stuff at the forefront, and then sometimes darker undertones in the background. Like Age of Ultron had that whole psychological stuff going on with Stark, but it was a very funny movie, like right off the bat. But they kind of flip it on its head with this, with Civil War, because the darker undertones are kind of the forefront here, and the jokes are pushed back. Like I don't think there's an actual joke in the movie until Spider-Man shows up. And some people might be kind of irritated by that they're kind of going grittier, but it's really not a bad thing. Comic books nowadays are very much their own thing. Every comic book is a different genre and a different medium, not really medium, but everything's different. Everything has its own tone. So I'm glad that that's finally being represented in Marvel movies. And Winter Soldier kind of was like gearing towards that, but Civil War here just really pulls it off. And to wrap up the things I liked about the movie, and this obviously isn't all of them, I could talk about this movie forever, but comparing it to the comic, it's leaps and bounds better than the comic. Like Anthony and Joe Russo were like, we're gonna do Civil War, but we're just gonna stick it in like the background of our movie, and we're just gonna do our story on top of it. And that's really what they accomplished. They threw in so many Easter eggs. Like one, I don't mind spoiling, is the speech that Captain America gives in Civil War, the comic, where I don't think it's in specifically the Civil War issues, it might be, but he's talking about how when everyone is telling you to move, when the government's telling you to move, you plant yourself like a tree and say, no, you move. Sharon Carter delivers that speech, and it is beautifully well done and so powerful, and I love it. And I also kind of want to talk about the endings, comparing the endings, but I don't want to obviously spoil stuff, so I will talk about that when I get into the spoilers. So let's move on to the bad, what I didn't like about the movie, really quickly. I could only think of 2 nitpicks about this, and they are nitpicks. The first one being that the score to me was kind of underwhelming. I really did like how they interwove whatever people's themes into the music that was going on, especially when T'Challa showed up and he was doing all his Black Panther-y stuff. His kind of theme was in like Wakandan kind of music, like very organically weaved into the actual song that was going on. But just, I don't know, I felt kind of let down, especially since I'm pretty sure Henry Jackman, the guy who did this score, also did Winter Soldier, and Winter Soldier has one of the best film scores I've ever heard. So I was just expecting something more, I guess. Most Marvel movies that come out of with a clear like theme to the movie, like score theme to the movie, and I didn't get that with this one. It felt like they were kind of trying to go for that towards the beginning with one of the songs that they kept playing in the first act, but they just kind of did away with it later on in the movie. So I don't know. Speaking of the first act, the other nitpick is that the first act was kind of slower paced for me. I would have liked it to be a little faster, but once the Sokovia chords were introduced and once things started to pick up, everything was fine. It's just that first stuff in Lagos and everything was a little on the slower side. So here's your warning for spoilers. There'll be an annotation here or something that will just click it. It'll skip you to after the spoilers and everything will be fine. Calm down. Just leave now or click the annotation if you don't want spoilers. There's your warning. Okay, spoilers. This movie was great. Sorry. They did the Civil War cover. I don't know if it's exactly a cover, but they did that famous Civil War image where Cap is like putting his shield like this, and then Iron Man's like, I'm probably showing it right now, but I probably can't actually find the image from the movie, but go see the movie if you want to see it. It's so cool. It's so organically put into it, and I love it. It's great. Speaking of the comic, the ending of the comic versus the ending of the book. If you've ever asked me my opinion on Civil War, the comic book, you will always hear that it's a wonderful book, but the ending is not my favorite, and I have many reasons for that, but just the contrast between them here. Whenever I'd bring that up, I'd be like, I don't really know how to fix it, I just didn't like it. But they fixed it here. Like, the way Civil War should end, in my opinion, is how it ended in this movie, where it's just a fight, and then somebody beats the other person to a point where they can't fight anymore, but nobody's a clear winner. Like, Cap doesn't give up and turn himself in. They just both go their separate ways, and you're left like, whoa, the hell? I don't even know what to think anymore. That's how I think Civil War should wrap up, because Civil War to me is a very character-driven event that puts people at odds, not because of their powers, but because of their ideals, for whatever reason, and you should leave the event with major implications on the rest of your universe and major changes, and that's honestly what I hope Civil War 2 will accomplish, is it's going to change the universe for years to come, just like the original Civil War event did. So I guess I should talk about the mid and post-credit scenes now. The mid-credit scene with Black Panther was fantastic. It's basically just, they put Bucky back into... Bucky decides that he wants to go back under, because it's safer for everyone. And they do that in Wakanda, and Steve's there, and he's like, hey, it's me, Cap. And Black Panther's like, hey, it's me, Black Panther. And then they pan and they show that they're in Wakanda, and it's great. And it's pretty cool setup for the Black Panther solo film. I don't know if this is what the movie's going to be about. I don't think they've released any synopses yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if Cap showed up in that movie, or if Bucky showed up in that movie or something. I really think that if they do, though, it should be kind of minimized, because I think T'Challa deserves his own movie, so he should be the star of his movie, and him alone. Now, the post-credits scene had me really confused. I was talking to Scott from NerdSync, who I went to the Civil War premiere with. I didn't actually get to see the movie then, unfortunately, but he did. And he was telling me that they didn't show them a post-credit scene, and that people were apparently raving about the post-credit scene. And I think it's because people, like, I guess the general audience didn't know about Spider-Man? I don't know. It's weird to me, because the post-credit scene is just Peter's in his bedroom fiddling with, this was cool. He's fiddling with his, like, spider, like, light thing that's on the wall. And Aunt May's like, why'd you get beat up? And he's giving excuses and stuff. And then it just ends with a little thing that says Spider-Man will return. Just like, I think at the end of Iron Man 3, it said Iron Man will return. So, I don't know. It was kind of underwhelming to me. I expected something big, something like, I guess, MCU overall implicating, but I guess that is kind of MCU overall implicating, but I already knew that Spider-Man was coming back because they already announced his film like a year ago. Speaking of implicating on larger MCU, I'm really on point with these segues today, guys. No one died in this movie, except like, well, I mean, Peggy and Crossbones died, but no Avenger died, like no big character died, and I'm really impressed that they were able to do that, because Civil War is Captain America's death, basically, along with a bunch of other shit, but that is where Cap dies, and he didn't die here, and I am so glad that they didn't kill anyone, honestly. I'm impressed with it. I'm glad with the decision. They don't need to kill someone to invoke an emotional response out of you. I honestly think if someone died here, then it would have taken away that like struggle, because if Cap died, you'd instantly be on Cap's side because he died for his struggle, or if Tony died, you'd instantly be on Tony's side because he died for his struggle. But just the way that no one died and everyone, it's just this emotional kind of turmoil that it puts you in, I think was really well done. So I'm glad no one died, except Peggy, Crossbones, and all the civilian casualties. And the one last kind of spoilery thing that I wanted to talk about, and it's not really spoilery, I just everyone in the movie, a lot of people were worried about this movie being way too congested with all these characters. Like, literally every Avenger is in it. So many people are in it. Like, in the movie, I was like, oh yeah, this person's in it. No, yeah, this person's in it. But they pulled it off perfectly. Like, everyone was organically woven into the plot. Nobody felt like they overstayed their welcome. Nobody felt like they understayed their welcome. They were there when they needed to be, and then they left when they didn't need to be there. It was perfect. So yeah, there you go. Those are my thoughts on Captain America Civil War. I'm not gonna give it like a something out of 10 rating. I don't really like doing that, but go see it. It is a wonderful movie. Just go see it. I don't want to give you any prerequisites. It's a great movie. If you haven't seen it already, I don't know why you're watching this review, but if you have seen it, go see it again. It's great. They deserve your money. Anyway, that's pretty much my review. Obviously, let me know in the comments what you guys thought about the movie, if you agree or disagree with anything that I said. I know people have told me that I'm very nitpicky about films, but I liked this one. We're not going to talk about Batman v Superman review. Whew! But just let me know what you thought about Civil War in the comments. And of course, before you head out, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on anything that I upload every other Wednesday and every Saturday. And that all being said, thank you so much for watching. Honestly, guys, thank you so much. Next time I grow wings and then go into a shell and then make a little buddy and call him Red Wing and be like, hey Red Wing, you're my little buddy.